started in just one more minute. We're just letting some people in out of the waiting room, and it is going to be our Ask Us Anything winter extravaganza. Ashley in her cap and myself in my Christmas tree lights. And we got some great questions in the email and on Twitter and Facebook. And we won't get to all of them today, but we will get to many of them. Yeah. So welcome. And I'm Allison. And my book journey is that I sold a book entirely on platform. It's called 7 Drafts, Self-Edit Like a Pro from Blank Page to Book. It'll be out in March. And mostly I have built my entire writing career on giving away stuff for free until people are moved to pay me for it. Ashley, what's your book journey? Because you just changed directions.
I did. And I'm still at the giving away things for free stage, which is building in a really nice way. I was signed by my agent last spring on my story alone. I did not have very much of a platform at that point. I had less than 2,000 followers on Instagram, no following on Twitter. Through really connecting with Allison and starting the platform binder, I have put a lot more time and energy into connecting with my readers, finding them, giving them what I think they want, and then adjusting to give them even deeper assistance in what they are looking for. And with that, my platform's grown a lot in the last few months. And I broke up with my agent and started my own publishing company. So I'm planning to publish my memoir in the spring and try to collect a lot of information on what works and doesn't work with launching, what works and doesn't work with publicity, and marketing, so I can really try to help other writers regardless of what path they choose for their book.
Yeah. So today is the Ask Us Anything episode of Writer's Bridge, and we're going to get to as many questions as we can. Let's just briefly summarize the last meeting. We hit the 5 Ps of publication, prizes, public speaking, PR, and projects. We talked about how you are an expert when you give advice and people take it. You become an expert when you declare yourself an expert and give valuable information. We talked about the difference between literary and commercial writing. A lot of us overlap those categories. We talked about how the 3 stages of being impressed by work, then seeing the tools, and then being able to use the tools is how you know you're ready to submit to a particular market or venue. We talked about radical honesty and how joint projects help you bond with other writers. And we also talked about the power of boobs and fire, that you need something that is vulnerable and personal in your work and something that is spectacular and showy. And those are what tend to draw your audience. Yay, boobs and fire. Somebody's got it on a Post-it note.
Amy has it on a
Post-it note. And as always, we will cover a lot. So do plan to watch the video again to get all the finer points. And as always, you will get a link to this video recording tomorrow, along with a link to all of the previous episodes. Couple of just like opening stuff. I'm seeing a lot of people do great things with their Instagram quotes, making like text posts with like pretty quotes and everything. Everybody can bump up your font size. I am not the only person here who needs reading glasses. I know that we're all kind of squinting at our phones closer and closer or farther and farther as the case may be, but almost everybody can up your font size when you are doing stuff with text. We also want to say Instagram has just changed their terms of service. And it sounds big and scary. It's not as big and scary as it sounds because there's stuff that people are just now noticing that has actually always been there. One of the things that we point out about social media is that you really do want an email list because you don't own your people on social media. Facebook owns your people, or Instagram owns your people, or TikTok owns your people. You only own the people whose email addresses you have, which is why we request that all of you give us your email address when you sign up for this. It's very, very important to back up all of your stuff as much as you can. So if you have a giant list of people who are your followers on Instagram, try to also start making an Excel sheet of them. Or if you do like MailChimp or ConvertKit, try to start making a list of all those people and plugging in the way to contact them, just in case you decide one day, hey, Instagram is no longer for me. You want to be able to still reach them. The new Instagram terms of service are designed to take some sex content and some adult content off the platform. We are not going to go into the ethics of that here. There's differing versions on that. But it is going to be important if you are someone who does sex positivity work, which I know a couple of our people do. We write about sex positivity, write about feminism, write about gender roles. It's going to be important to make sure that you're not using words that might get flagged by a robot as words that would be in porn. You can take a look and see how some people like spell porn with a 0. So if you need to do your feminist critique of pornography, you may want to spell that sucker with a 0. But keep your eye out. Someone's probably going to do a breakdown on the Instagram terms of service. They only went into effect 2 days ago, so we haven't really seen the full effect yet. On the upside, we are seeing that engagement has gone way up again. There was a while where all of our reach was down for our posts because reels were what was being pushed to the audience. But we do find nowadays that the reach has gone way back up again. Ashley, do you want to weigh in on any of that?
Just what Allison said, you have to really be careful, even jokes that you're making on Instagram or Facebook with sexual content. I took some screenshots of some sugar daddy messages I got back in the spring, and I posted them on Facebook as a joke, saying like, oh, and just using the word sugar daddy, even though I was making a joke about getting these messages, I got a warning on my Facebook account. And then weeks and weeks later, I was doing an Ancestry DNA test, and it was my 5th time trying it because Ancestry was unable to extract my DNA the first 4 times. And people were saying, you should floss, you should do things like this before you spit in it. Like, and I was sharing, you know, silly vampire gifts, like, okay, maybe this will get my DNA. And then I woke up one morning and I went on my Instagram story and I said, okay, guys, I'm going to floss. I'm going to do it now. And the sound of me spitting into the tube got me banned from Facebook for 24 hours because they thought it was some sort of sexual content and I was already flagged for the sugar daddy joke. So you just have to, some of it makes no sense, but the reason it's so automated is because they do not have enough actual people to try to scrub the content and like properly vet all the content. And I have kids who are online. So I get it. I get the reason behind it, but you just have to be careful because sometimes you could get dinged for something that really wasn't intentionally graphic.
Casey asks a great question about what filter or light we are using. And she sees ring reflections in her glasses and feels like her clip-on light looks harsh. So I have a fairly large ring light. Like, as you can see, it's about the size of my head. It's got a couple of different settings where I can cycle through and I can make it like a daylight, a blue light, or a warm light, which is what I prefer. I find that I avoid the crazy person ring reflections in my eyes by setting up my ring light. It's actually above my computer and to the side a little bit. If I had a wall close to me, I would face it to the wall and let the light bounce off the white wall towards my face. Because it also gives me eye trouble if I let it sit at eye level too long. But this also means that I don't get the crazy person ring lights in the middle of my eyes.
And I have the ring light reflections on my blue blocker glasses right now. Do you see this? And I can't really figure out a way to avoid this. I wear my blue blockers whenever I am on a screen, except when I'm zooming, because I can't figure out how to not have that. And I find it distracting, and I would think other people find it distracting, besides it just looking like a little bit goofy. So I'm not quite sure. Especially with blue blocker glasses, they're highly reflective on purpose. So that's a little bit tricky.
So we have a couple of newsletter related questions. Lisa asks, what's the protocol for sending out a newsletter to people who didn't request it? And Kirsten asks about using my email list. How often? What do I use it for? We also heard from Michelle. She's starting with a holiday or New Year message that she usually mails to people individually, but she wants to start sending out one unified message. And she's nervous about people unsubscribing. I want to say something like, if you unsubscribe, I will take it personally. And what can I put in the first email that says, I'm not going to bother you with pitches? How do I integrate it all with my website? So you can send one email to people who have not signed up for your list. And that email is, would you like to sign up for my list? And other than that, it is actually illegal to send someone a regular email that they have not opted in for. It's also terrible practice because it makes people get mad to see your name in their inbox instead of happy to see your name in their inbox. Removing the people who are not your audience is just as important as keeping the people who are your audience. It's better to have a smaller list of people who are really excited to hear from you. However, I do advise, even when people unsubscribe, keep a master list of every single person's email, because you can legitimately send out one email when your book comes out that says, hey, let me tell you my book is out. You have not been added to a list, but I'd like you to know my book is out. And that's legit. But generally, you want people to opt in. What you might send people, I send like a quarterly thing that's, you know, hey, I did these things recently and here's what I thought about, and here's my most recent Instagram post. Wouldn't you like to know about it? Ashley, what do you send out for newsletters?
Yeah, I send out newsletters approximately quarterly. I built my mailing list by offering full length reads of my manuscript to start sharing it with book clubs, build some buzz, and that's how I got my beta readers as well. So a lot of my newsletters are book update based, a bit about my family because my family is shared a lot. I share a lot about them in my memoir, things that are going on with us. Like in the spring, I signed with an agent, you know, accepting agent offers and positive COVID tests because both my in-laws had COVID. So talking about personal things and how it ties into my book writing journey. Just like Allison said, so the unsubscribe, whenever someone unsubscribes, think of it as a favor because they are clearly saying that like what you are offering is not their thing right now, or you are maybe touching a nerve that they're not ready to look at right now. We have had some people unsubscribe to this list at the very beginning and then fill out the Google Doc like 3 times in the last few weeks, like wanting to make sure that they are on our list. So I had to add them in an unusual way because MailChimp doesn't want you to resubscribe people who have unsubscribed because they want to protect them. But just people will change their minds sometimes and become very, very interested in what you're offering.
And that's one of the reasons to cross-post your stuff. So Casey mentions when she writes a blog, it's automatically sent to her list as her newsletter. That's perfect. And that's a really easy way to handle it. The one thing to be careful about is make sure you're not sending a massively long blog because newsletters tend to be shorter than blogs. It is really valuable to put your stuff everywhere that you can put it. Debbie had asked a question about, she is finding that she wants to make it easy for people to read stories posted elsewhere because she's asking people to go to Medium and read a short story, but she's finding that people aren't clicking there. So one of the things that's helpful is your newsletter goes to the people who enjoy reading newsletters. Similar overlapping content goes to your blog for the people who prefer to read it on your blog. You post it on Facebook with a big chunk of quote so that people can go, oh, I think I'd like to read the whole thing. I'll click through. You post a fairly large chunk of text on Instagram. So like Debbie had a great thing where she referenced that there was a funny story about a lobster in her last photo of this big, beautiful dining room at West Point. I would say, Debbie, tell us a little bit more about the lobster story, and then people are more likely to click through and read the rest. You've got to meet your readers where they are. You can't make them go to a particular place. You can only use the platforms that you enjoy being on and cross-post your content, because we think that, you know, oh, people are going to get sick of it. They're going to get tired of hearing the same story. But honestly, most people don't see your stuff more than once or twice. And if they do, they smile and go, oh, I already read that on Instagram. And they keep scrolling. Nobody goes, oh, I can't believe this person posted this thing in 4 different places. it's far more likely that some people will see it on Facebook, some people will see it on your author page, some people will see it on your website, some people will click through from Twitter. So it's always worth it to go ahead and cross-post all the way through. Annie asks, email collection for a newsletter, can you have a link to subscribe in a link tree? Absolutely. Yeah, you can totally make a link to subscribe for your newsletter. You just have to figure out, where does your newsletter program collect those people?
I have found a new alternative to Linktree. I have not signed up for it yet, but they went in and redid my links for me with their program, and it was beacons, and I can share a link, and they have some good features there, like you can put a photo in the background and you can have a sign up right within it, so people just can type in their email and click sign up without even leaving that link. So there are some interesting things there, and I will share that link in our follow-up email so that you guys can see those options. It offers more features than Linktree, and it also has more premium features that you can pay for. So there's just that other option. You want to make things as easy as possible for people. When Allison was talking about sharing parts of your story in your social media posts, this is a really good way to test your story, test your writing, test your audience to see if your content is really resonating. I have tried this several times where I put half of the mini essay or blog post as a caption and then continued at link in bio. And this is before I even had Linktree, but I would put my most recent post that I had posted on my website there. And then I could see from my analytics how many people then clicked on the link in bio. And, sometimes it was 150 people. And I thought, okay, you know what? Like a third of the people who saw that today wanted to read more. So this is the kind of thing that will pull people in, because there's so much content online. We want to give people a reason to be checking our social media channels, even when something doesn't come up on their feed. We want to be providing them enough value that they want to hear what we have to share every day.
And Edda asks, I've been told not to use too many social media platforms, but we're referring to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. Does anyone else have trouble managing it all? Is there an easier way? And we had a couple of questions come in as well. Diana asked, should I get off Twitter if I prefer Instagram and my Twitter is lame? Yes, you should. Sonia asked, do you need to be active on all platforms? No, you do not. Brian finds he's starting with a dedicated account on Twitter, and the notion of platform seems a little overwhelming. Is there a graduated approach? Find what you like. And if you're just starting, start with the platform that you genuinely enjoy. Try out Twitter. See if you enjoy casual joking and conversations that are really happening in the moment and taking part of a larger social conversation. Try Instagram and find out, do you prefer writing a little mini essay or sharing a little window into your life or sharing an element of something that you're writing about, whether you're a novelist and that's, oh, hey, I did this cool historical research, or whether you are a nonfiction person and you're like, hey, this is what I'm writing about this week, or here's this cool new recipe I tried that's going to be in my upcoming book. Find the stuff that you actually like to do. And if you're starting out, start with one at a time so that you don't have to balance, oh crap, what about this and what about that? Get on Twitter, Brian, get the rhythm going. And then if you hate it, stop doing Twitter. If you feel good about it, then maybe add a little Instagram. I think it's the second or third episode. You'll get a link to all of the previous episodes where we talk about cross-posting and using a tool called IFTTT, I-F-T-T-T, which stands for if this, then that, where you can automate. So my Instagram automatically posts to my author page and to my Twitter, and I don't have to do the extra step of posting it myself. Nina asks a really nice question, which is, where is my Instagram inbox? And is that where all the comments and conversations happen? Yes and no. So ideally, we want people to be commenting below other people's posts, because that's what helps Instagram go, oh, this is interesting. I will show this content to more people because it has been commented on. But if you see, there is a little paper airplane in the top right-hand corner, or it may be located somewhere different on your Instagram because they've been messing with the layout. That paper airplane is where your inbox is, and you will have inboxes. And something that a lot of people have had trouble finding, me included, there are two inboxes here. There is primary, which is what opens up, but there's a little thing that says general. And if you tap general, you get a whole nother inbox. So these are the people who you don't follow. And if you have signed up for a comment pod recently and you have not heard from us, you should check your general inbox, because it's entirely possible that there's a whole bunch of messages in there that you have not yet seen. So with the comment pods that are going on Instagram, some of the comment pods, people just post their picture, they comment on other people's pictures. Some of the pods are having discussions about social media strategy or personal challenges. Every pod kind of has their own different personality, but you do want to go ahead and comment on people's posts for the sake of boosting their post and showing it to more people.
One more thing in there with the inbox is you may have primary, general, and then you may have a little one here that says requests. Do you see my 5 requests there? Those are from people who I don't follow, who I have not established any messages with yet. I check my requests several times a day because they're coming in a lot with new followers finding me on Reels. That is where I find people who say, listen, this video really helped me. I want to talk to my wife about such and such. Do you think if I took this approach, it might work? There are really vulnerable questions in there. The occasional spam message or company wanting to sell me followers, but that's where I actually find a lot of great new connections for people who are really resonating with my work.
Yeah. And if you get a friend request from a guy who has an aggressively white man name like Brian John and a number, Brian John 4733 or Collins Mike 26, they are all spam. They are all pretend accounts that are made up. Either they're going to catfish you, or they're trying to build their own following so that they can be a paid for account. Just ignore them. You don't even need to worry about it. Stephanie points out that her inbox is not a paper airplane. It's actually a quotation bubble in a cartoon. So good to know that. Lexi asks, we have a Google Doc that you guys will get a link to. That is going to be, everybody enters their socials in there so that you can all follow each other. We have 900 people plus signed up for Writer's Bridge, but there's only about 180 people in the Google Doc. So if you have not had a chance to put your social information on there, please go ahead and enter your socials so that you can follow other people and other people can follow you. And that link is going to come out in the email that's the follow-up email. I wanted to point out something really cool, and then Ashley's going to show us some nifty little videos. I'm just going to share screen for a moment because we had 2 of our Writer's Bridge people do some really beautiful and cool things this week on social media. Does everybody see a big thing that says Agatha Arch's Holiday Picks 12 Books to Face Your Fears? Yeah. So this is really neat. Kristen Barrow Keefe is publicizing her, I don't know if it's her first book, but her current book, Agatha Arch is Afraid of Everything. And one of the things she's doing to promote is she's playing with the themes of her book. And it's a novel. This is not like, oh, I'm nonfiction and these are my topics, but this is a novel. And what she's done is, since her book is all about fears, she has picked these 12 other books about how to face your fears. So if you want to face the fear of flying, get Jodi Picoult's Book of Two Ways. If you want to face the fear of dogs, get Laura Zigman's book, Separation Anxiety. And what she's done here is she has tagged all of these authors and their publishers. And so the chances are very high that either the author's PR team or the author themselves or the publisher's PR team might see this post because they've been tagged in it, and they might add it to their Instagram story, or they might repost it to their Instagram feed. And she's got 2 separate ones. She did 6 and 6. Which is great because then you really get a chance to focus on all of them, and it's not teeny tiny little pictures. But I thought that was a really great way to promote other people's content as a way to also promote your own content and to make it very shareable so that it's in other people's best interests to share this content. And I also wanted to point out a really cool thing. And Ellen, I hope I'm not totally outing you here. Ellen told me that she was like kind of nervous about posting this photo because it's a no makeup selfie. And she got a fantastic response to this. It got more likes, it got more comments than anything else she's ever posted. And I think we can all see why. It's beautiful and it's real. We get to see real Ellen looking at us for real. And there's something very beautiful in this radical honesty of genuinely connecting with your followers as who you really are. She also looks beautiful and amazing, but it's the realness that really captures people's attention.
I love that. I really love that. And it shows what we talked about early on, maybe our first call, in capturing moments, not things. This is clearly a moment. And it's not just Ellen doing her makeup, trying to set up for a selfie, like, you know, like a young, like a teenager or something. This is like fits her perfectly. It fits her personality, her style. And it's just looking at it, like Allison said, this should be your author photo. And I said, I agree. It's just really gorgeous. And Kima too, feel this whole moment entirely. It's just the positioning and the lighting is really.
And notice how powerful natural light is. Whenever you can, take your photo in natural light. I'm going to let Ashley screen share because she's got a couple of things to show us. And while Ashley draws that up, Anne had asked a great question. Should we be trying to get followers? Does it matter? What's the best way to do that? Should we follow a lot of people? Is there a best ratio between followers and following? So the main thing to remember is that numbers do not equal readers. It is more important for us as authors to have somewhere between 500 and 1,000 true fans who are really into what we have to say, rather than trying to be an influencer who needs 50,000 fans so that a brand will pay them to feature their shampoo in the ad. We don't need giant numbers of followers. What you want to do is post quality content reasonably regularly to where your readers will go to see it. And when you're starting out, you're going to end up following more people than are following you back, because that's just kind of how it works. However, once you hit like 5,000 followers or so, then you'll probably start culling down and not following as many people, but you don't really need to worry about it until you get to a big number.
Mm-hmm. So I have some videos here that I pulled up that are not face to camera reels. These videos are on, some of them are cross-posted to TikTok as well, that got a really great response from people. And you'll see all three of them are completely different styles. And what I want you guys to think about is we all have things that we are super good at. One of my Instagram stories that was the most successful years ago was when I showed people how I pack for 3 children for a winter vacation, how I make sure we all have what we need, why we wear our snow boots on the plane so that we don't have to fit them in the suitcases and the sneakers go in the suitcases, how I have one bag that's all our warm clothes and we open that up at the Minot or Winnipeg airport. And people were just losing their minds over the structure and the protocol I follow to pack for a winter holiday. So whether your thing is you're really good at cleaning a refrigerator or organizing a pantry or wrapping presents, or taking down a Christmas tree really quickly. Like these, we all have things that we're really good at, and we can capture those moments with certain things on our camera, which I'll show you right after this. But just start thinking of what these people did and then what your thing would be to show your readers a little bit more about your life. Okay, fabulous video. I'm assuming you guys could not hear the audio, correct? Okay. I suggest that you go to Rosalie's Instagram so that you can see this with the audio, because Rosalie's a music teacher, and you can tell that in this, the way that the captions hit with the phrasing of the music makes it easier to follow, and it makes it a more rhythmic watching experience for people. Okay, so she's using a collection of videos from a long time ago, but the way that the captions come in with the music and the way that it shows, it pulls you in right at the beginning, because that's a really hard, it's a really hard scene to watch. Hunter struggling, his father really trying to help him there, right? But then it takes you on a bit of a journey as a viewer, because you get to the place where you see how much this family has overcome and how their son is thriving. So it takes you on this bit of a journey. Now, this next one here is about folding, okay? This is Jessica Hazeman. She's really blown up on TikTok in the last little while. She's a home organizer, okay?
Tuck folding, yes. Fold your pants in half and then make sure it's a good rectangle. Fold the bottom up, but not all the way up. Fold the waist down and open it up. This is where you're gonna tuck it into. That's it, follow for more. Tuck folding, yes.
And do you see how she tosses the pants and they still say tucked? She shows how, even though she doesn't have children, she's borrowed children or their drawers and gone to children's drawers and showed that even when the kids pull out their things, they still stay folded. So these kinds of things are super helpful, practical. She shows it in this simple video. It's, no professional lighting or anything here, but she just shows something that's super helpful to people in a practical way. Now, this is from Rochelle.
What these videos show us is you don't have to do something that is super special or super fancy or super high production values. People are genuinely interested in that cool, quirky, interesting thing that you know how to do.
And here's Rochelle, who's one of our Writer's Bridge writers. And I love when Rochelle draws on her reels. So this is Whitney Houston, America the Beautiful is the soundtrack to this one. And she posted this on election night when a lot of people were really stressed about what was going to happen. Beautiful. So there are a lot of things that we can do to connect with people, to show them what we uniquely offer. I'm going to show you here. We had a question. I was going to show you something on my phone. Oh,
and yes, Annie, even if that quirky thing is not related to writing or your book, which kind of touches on both Kristen's thing about what if our brand is more than one thing. Her mixed messages are LGBTQ weddings and surviving rape. And Sarah asks, if you've written a very personal book, you're actually a very private person, you don't want to go into that raw space of sharing over and over again on social media, sharing what is interesting and quirky about your life or your quiet moments at home or a shot of your writing desk can be a great way to connect with readers, because people are interested in you. People want to get to know you beyond your book, and you are the thread that ties all of those disparate content buckets together.
On iPhone, and I'm sure Android has something similar, if we go to camera, and then if we scroll at the bottom to time lapse, this is a great way to capture content that then will naturally be about 30 seconds long, even if you have it time lapsing for an hour. And then you can take that video, and let's go into here, Instagram Reels. Somebody asked, one more thing, somebody asked, how do we put photos in Instagram Reels? The only way that I've figured out so far was, I think Jacqueline Greenberg used this tip on one of her reels of Henry. And there's a tutorial in our binder, and I'll share it in this next email. Do you see this record button right here when I pull down my dashboard? This lets me screen record. Oh, it won't let me screen record while I'm screen sharing. but I could screen record and then go to any of the photos in my camera roll, and it would capture that as a short video, and then I could edit it down and import them into Reels.
I also use the screen record function if I've posted a blog and I'd like to share the blog to my Instagram story. I carefully scroll continuously through the blog, because then if someone sees it in the story, you can put your finger on the story and it will pause so that you have time to read it.
Screen record is, once you have it in your little dashboard on your phone, you'll probably find that you use it every day for something. Even if it's just to reply to a text for a friend, to show them something, like it is a feature that is extraordinary. When you go into Instagram, and if you are going to make a new reel, with the plus button here, if you have the Reels feature, and then you have, the place where people can look at your Reels here.
We don't all have Reels yet. Some of us are not so lucky as to have Reels. When
we go here, down in the bottom left-hand corner, like I've actually never imported anything to Reels, but you can do this with photos that then you made into that little video, and keep them. Watch Reels like those 3 that we watched that work well as far as the pacing. I think making every reel 30 seconds is amazing, and it's just the right time to catch someone's attention. If you come here, then you can add any videos that you've done before. I'm going to add this from a solstice fire. Then if I press this button here, then it takes me to the fire, and I can add a caption. So we'll say caption 1. That's boring. But if you click at the very bottom here where it says caption 1, a little timeline is going to come here, and I can decide how long I want that on the video. And do you see how it disappears? And then you can just keep repeating and repeating. And then if you click on caption 1, you can move it anywhere where you want it on the screen.
Yeah. Allison, I don't know if there is another way to access screen record other than the pull down, but if you do a quick Google on screen record and the name of your phone, someone will have put a step-by-step on the internet with how to do it. I want to touch a little bit on frequency of content, because Andrea has asked, and is it Andrea or Andrea? We're just going to imagine that I've pronounced it correctly, whichever way you prefer. And she asks, can you speak to posting what you have published? If you've published an essay, how to get it out there, balance self-promotion, what to put in the post, how often? And Trisha had asked earlier, I have 2 Facebooks, one personal, one a writer page, but the personal one has many more followers, and I don't want to post the same material on both. Remember again, most people are only going to see your stuff in one place. Go ahead and post something on every platform. On Facebook, put a quote and a link. On Twitter, put a quote and a link. In your blog, hey, I wrote this cool essay. It's over at this site. Here's the first paragraph. Click through and read it. In your newsletter, hey, I wrote this beautiful essay. It's okay to say that you are great and you wrote something you're proud of. The people who are your genuine readers and your genuine followers are going to be delighted to hear from you. Even if they don't go read it right that second, they're going to be thrilled to know that you got something out there in the world.
So Nina asks, how do we post a link to IG? We can't, but we work around this. The Instagram only allows us to put one website, one link at the bottom of your bio. This is why, so you can do, if you have a new piece published somewhere, you can just continuously swap out that website link and just put your newest material. What we recommend is something like Linktree, or I'll share the link to Beacons if people want to check that out, so that you can have a series of things that come up right there within the Instagram app. So people they don't want to feel too sidetracked, and they don't want to feel like they have to click here and then click there and then look here and scroll. People are not lazy, just their attention span is too short for that. And people want things to happen really, really quickly. So if they are interested and they click on your link in bio, they want to be able to find that thing that you teased very quickly. So if you have the link tree, you can have my great new post at Brevity blog or my piece in the New York Times, and you can link right from there.
And Julie asks, are there potential problems with recording a video of a published piece or screenshotting all the parts to Instagram? I know the publications want the clicks. When you've got a publication that has only put your stuff on print, it is more ethical to just click like the first page or the first paragraph and say, hey, it's also available over here. Then you PDF that sucker, and 3 months or so later, then you put it on your website as a PDF. But give the publication those first publication rights that they wanted so that people will go to their site first. It is better for something like an official publication if you direct people to there, give them the beginning, and then entice them to go read more. Think about how you would want it to happen if somebody quoted your blog. You know, would you want them to direct people to your site? How much of your blog would you be comfortable with them sharing on their social media before they pointed people back to your site?
And a really great way to do this, if you screen record and show that in your stories, then tag using the sticker. It's like the smiley face thing at the top. Actually, they just added a new emoji. So it's the square one with the little face on the top when you're making a story. And tag the publication, tag the editor you worked with. You can make those tags sort of this clear white visual, and then you can shrink them down with your fingers, tiny, tiny, tiny. Like sometimes I'll do a story here, and there will be tags behind me on my shelves floating in the air that nobody sees, but the people I have tagged will get a notification in their direct messages on Instagram saying, Ashley Renard mentioned you in their story. And there is a banner at the bottom where they can just with one click add this to your story. And I'm telling you, there are not enough people sharing editors' work. There are not enough people sharing authors' work. There are not enough people sharing the books that have just come out from imprints, because every time I share these in my story, all of those people, even if it's a celebrity writing a memoir, they share it in their story. Because especially if you add some cool elements, like a sticker that's like, I loved this, or your own GIF or some sparkles, if you make it look like kind of a new piece of content that is attractive and highlighting that work, they will reshare it too.
Yeah. Charlotte has a great idea. She's thinking about doing Instagram videos that are book reviews of books she's reading. And you could cross-post those to Facebook, to TikTok if you're on TikTok. Is it okay to read a passage from a book if I'm attributing it to the author, literally holding the book while I read? Absolutely. As far as copyright goes in all of the countries of the world except Mauritius, you are fine to quote from a book when you are reviewing the book or interacting with the book as a book. And you're very clearly promoting the book. Nobody's going to be mad about that. Amy asks, why are people now putting their hashtags in the comments after their own posts rather than on the original post? It just looks a little tidier. Some people like to do it that way because it makes their caption look cleaner. It really doesn't matter for engagement whether you put it in the caption or whether you put it in the first post.
On that note too, hashtags count for your character limit. So if you're writing a mini essay and you're like coming up against that 2,200 characters that is allowed in an Instagram caption, it's easier to put the hashtags. I've just made a habit of putting the hashtags in the first comment. Then any caption that I craft has the maximum amount of space for me to communicate.
And Casey also points out that if you are automatically posting your Instagrams over to Facebook, if their hashtags are in the comment, then you don't have to go and cut the hashtags out of Facebook where they look kind of clunky and aren't really helping you. And yes, Annie, you can use Cut Story to add captions. I want to just get back to Nancy's question because Nancy tried using PowerPoint to create text cards. And this is a thing that I do all the time because I am just like not competent with Canva. A lot of people swear by Canva. It's a great like free graphic design program with templates. I end up doing a lot of my stuff in PowerPoint. And Nancy said what she found challenging was PowerPoint measures in inches instead of pixels, and she used a pixel template. And then when she uploaded the card to IG, the text got reformatted. Just make a square. Just set your slide size as a square. It does not matter what the actual size of the slide is, as long as it's a square, because then it will shrink down to Instagram. Or if you want to put it on Facebook, make it a rectangle, because rectangles do better on Facebook. From there, export that slide as a JPEG. Like, don't try to use it as a PowerPoint slide. Actually do export slide and select JPEG as the option. You can export just the current slide, and then you can use that in your Instagram. If you've got a Mac, you can airdrop it to your phone, or you can email it to yourself. Ashley, do you want to fill in on a question or two while I just pop open my PowerPoint and show people some of the quote card backgrounds I have made using the wonders of PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely. When I was pulling up the screen share, did you already talk about writing a very personal book? What Sarah had asked?
I did a little, but it's a common question, so I think it's totally worth looking at again.
Okay, I wrote a very personal book. It's about how, as a perfectionist mom, I took doing it all to the next level when my husband and I became the world's worst attempted swingers. And I thought sharing stuff about failed sex club experiences was going to be what really got me followers on social media, and nobody really cared. So I didn't have to share the most personal thing to start connecting with people. I started 2 series on Instagram, one called Before You Get a Divorce, with really practical advice, just within 30 seconds. Each video had just really concrete, simple advice on try this, try, taking care of yourself, try this, and I'm going to oversimplify it here because I can't sum it up in 2 seconds. But then I also did how to keep monogamy hot. And I did some funny, cheeky videos that are, especially on TikTok, blowing up. So people understand that I had struggles in my marriage, and that trying to keep our intimacy at a level that's satisfying for both of us has been a struggle, and I have some advice to share. That's exactly what my book's about. There are some sex club visits that are, like I said, we're failed swingers. So it's mostly like very funny things about it being like shenanigans and chaos. And I also had 3 children who I was homeschooling at the time and working full time. So like, I really was like juggling way too many things at once. And you just see like the insanity in me, the main character, as you go through the book. But just think about, you don't have to share your deepest, darkest to connect with people. You have to share what is going to be the most relatable and other people are going to need support in. So just try to play with that. And I posted a lot of things on social media that then I deleted because it wasn't really getting a lot of connection with people like I thought it would. And that's how I kind of found my way.
Can you guys see a big green square with a quote on it? Okay, this quote has too much text and the font size is too small, just so you know. But what I've done is I've set my PowerPoint slides by changing the slide size. And you can also do this in Keynote or in Google Slides. And then I've gotten like fun backgrounds. You just set the background as a texture. And then these little photos are what's called a PNG file, which means that it has a transparent background. And I found these on a graphic design site that is free downloadable PNGs. And then I exported all of these as JPEGs so that I could then build my quotes one by one on these pretty backgrounds and use them. And, color-wise, I can either go warm or cool. I find PowerPoint easier to work in than Canva. And I make a lot of like ads and stuff in there as well. Just be aware that you can change the slide size in PowerPoint, and that's really, really useful and valuable. We are going to take a moment in our breakout rooms before we come on back and have a little bit of final chat together. If you go into a breakout room and nobody else has turned up, just come on back to the main room and Ashley and I will hang out and chat with you. You may feel like a little bit weird about, oh, hey, I'm going to go into a breakout room and there's going to be people I don't know yet. But usually people really enjoy connecting with each other. So we urge you to take a moment, pop into a breakout room and just hang out. You'll be there for just about 5 minutes. Just say hi to everybody, find out what they're writing, get their socials, make that connection. And Nancy, you'll see this in the recording. Can you use PowerPoint in a carousel? If you export it as a JPEG, you can use it anywhere you want, but you have to use Instagram's carousel function of selecting multiple pictures.
And just so everybody knows, when there's more than one Instagram photo in a post, that is called a carousel, and you have to click on the little, I'll just share it right here, Allison. Share screen so that we have that here.
Fantastic. So if you're with us right now, we always put some bonus stuff in the main room chat. And Ashley's just going to show us how to build a carousel in Instagram.
So carousels when we have more than one photo at a time. So we press the plus button up here, and then right here, we can click for multiple photos, and then whatever we select, there will be multiple, and it could be multiple videos. Next. Like you can have a mix of photos and videos as long as the photo, so like this, because this technically is a video.
And I think 10 is the maximum number you can add still.
10, and the videos can be no longer than 60 seconds if you wanted to. And this is a way too, if you don't want something to go to IGTV and you want to post a video that's longer than a minute, you could break it into 56, 57-second clips and put it there.
Hi, Beth. How you doing?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I have questions. I'm a biologist, a marine biologist, and I'm writing a memoir. But I also love to do photography. And so I feel like I should be all over Instagram, but I find it so, I don't know, non-intuitive. And I also use Lightroom, not iPhoto, which, but is there a tutorial perhaps that would jumpstart me to get into Instagram? Or I do use it, but I just feel really...
I would say find creators who you like on there. Find your comp accounts, like find people who share science stuff in a really interesting way, or find memoirists who share about their personal life in a really personal way, or a really a way that resonates with you, and follow photographers. So you have all of these things that are even more interesting to your potential readers, but find those, your favorite memoirists, your favorite scientists, and start looking at what posts of theirs get a lot of interaction, and get involved in the comments on their posts and the discussions, and start to figure out what holes are there that these people are not offering or filling that you really could with your content.
And when you see a post that you really like,
I use Lightroom as well.
Click on the hashtags and see what else is being posted in that subject matter.
Okay.
Yeah, and Lightroom's a great thing to be using. Lightroom is a wonderful way to edit photos.
I love it. Yeah.
It's so good, so powerful. Do you use Lightroom mobile?
Not yet. I haven't done that transition. I use Classic on my laptop.
Okay.
And I haven't gone to mobile. I absolutely need to though, because it doesn't talk well to my iPhone.
Yeah, because I use my regular camera on my iPhone, and then I put things into Lightroom to add a preset, and then it comes very easily into my camera roll. And I've actually never used the desktop version, so I just learned on the mobile, cool. Which is free too. The mobile is free.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Everybody back from breakout rooms. Hi guys. Yay, Urmila is here. And Urmila, you're going to be our last question before we do our wrap-up chat, because I didn't realize you were here. Urmila had asked last meeting, when you're doing submissions, do you budget a certain amount of money for submissions for monthly? Because remember guys, publishing is also a giant part of your platform, and it can be one of the most effective things you do, whether that's literary magazines, literary blogs, mass media, newspapers, op-eds. Urmila, I generally don't submit to places that charge money to submit. I pretty much only submit to places that pay me, or at least don't charge money. And I'm going to recommend Erika Dreifus's newsletter, and we'll link to it in the follow-up email. Erika puts out a really great writer's resource newsletter where every 2 weeks she does a fantastic list of opportunities, fellowships, submissions, where everything pays and nothing costs an entry fee. So we'll link to Erika Dreifus's blog subscription where you can get that information and get it in your inbox. Awesome. And Andrea says, but you do spend the $3 on Submittable. That's true. I do sometimes spend the $3 on Submittable because that's a genuine cost that places incur to be able to receive subscriptions. And it saves me hauling my ass down to the post office with my stolen photocopies from my temp job. So I'm going to keep it. So just a couple of housekeeping things as we wrap up. Our next episode is going to be January the 5th, which is also my birthday. So I hope we can kind of all get together and be a little bit celebratory. We're going to talk about setting up your writer housekeeping for the new year. What kinds of things should you be checking on your website? What should you be updating on your various profiles? How should you be displaying your most recent publications to people? And you're going to get a takeaway checklist as well for you to go through and kind of set up your writer housekeeping for the year. We also want to let you guys know that we will be offering a special course that will be in next March and April. We'll start signups in January. It's going to be a small group 24-person course with group coaching and specific platform building stuff. We'll get you more information about that in January, but we just wanted to give you kind of a heads up on that. That one's going to be a tuition program, but the Writer's Bridge is not going anywhere, and the Writer's Bridge is always free and always for you guys, because we really value your time and the attention that you honor us with every 2 weeks. Ashley, what else should we say before we close?
That's all. This community and the regularity of meeting with you guys here and getting to put faces to names from social media has been one of the greatest gifts of this year. So I just really want you guys to know how much we appreciate you trusting us and you coming and meeting with us here and connecting with us on social media. It really has been wonderful.
And connecting with each other. So we're going to unmute everybody for a happy goodbye. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Bye.
Yeah, Casey, you look so cute.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Eileen. Bye, Diana.
Bye.
Everybody have a great holiday.
And I'm glad you're going to be charging for some stuff too.
I'm super excited. It's going to be an 8-week course with like 8 very specific classes about building different elements of platform and group coaching sessions as well that are like small groups of like 5 or 6 people in each group, where much more like, here is this thing that we are all going to do, complete it, get feedback, how'd it go? Let's talk about how to make it better, where it's more focused. And I think it's going to be really fun.
That's awesome.
I'm
super
psyched.
So yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. And being able to like dig in and like look at things people have planned for posting and like kind of brainstorm and look at each other's strengths and say, okay, like, why don't you make some content about this and like see how that resonates with your audience? And like, you know, there's been so much encouragement in the comment pods and in this community here and on the binder, but to even make that a little bit more concentrated, I think is really going to help people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an awesome idea.